Hey everyone, and welcome back to a little bit of random. My name's Amanda, and today I have for you part 3 of my makeup collection slash body care slash all the other things that I use as far as the health and beauty space, um, and health and beauty as well. Um, Today we're going to be doing concealer, or I'm sorry, not concealer, primer and foundation. I'm going to start with my primer because um, in terms of like how the order we put them on our face, the primer would come before the foundation. So, in the spirit of that, sorry about that, everyone. My mail lady knocked on the door because I had a package. So I went and grabbed that. And that is my snack crate for February. So look forward to that video coming up. Before we get started, I just want to, because I forgot when I did my intro, if you like the kind of content I make, please like this video. If you want to join our little corner of the internet here, you can subscribe. I do a lot of different content. It's just kind of whatever is piquing my interest that day or that week or month, what have you. So it's always going to be something different. It's not going to be the same all the time. And other than that, let's get into it. So going back to where I left off, we have primer. Now, I'm not most people in the fact that I use the same primer religiously. My skin is combo skin, and it's got a couple different issues, as I mentioned in my last video that should have went up today. Patchy red cheeks, very porish nose and T-zone. And then, we have the unevenness in color from the top of the head to the chin. And then we have the acne scars and, current acne breakouts. I do have a scar over here under my eye from an injury. So I have a lot of stuff that I want to cover. So I need a primer that's going to grip my foundation and leave it there. So that's what I usually go towards my primer. And I do try a lot of different brands to try to get what works best for me, depending on what my skin's doing that day, week, month, so on. So right now I have been very much loving the Bella Pierre Cosmetics HD Smoothing Primer. I did get this in my January Ipsy. This was the full-size item for that box, and I really like it. It is more of a creamy primer, so it's not a silicone. Silicones don't do well with my skin just because they sit in the pores on my nose, and then it makes my nose look uneven and everything else look fine. So I don't really like silicones. I have used very thin primers before that have been lovely, and some that have been not so lovely, but I like the creaminess of this because to me it kind of hydrates some of those rough patches on my cheeks, so that it's when I put on my foundation and everything else I put on top of that, it is a nice smooth base to work with. So I really like, I really like this product, and it might be a repurchase. I don't know yet. I won't know till I get all the way through it. I do blend it with my concealer, though, I should mention. So what I do is I dot my concealer where I need it, and then I go back in with the primer and I dot in the opposite places with the primer, so that when I use my I'm just grabbing it over here, my beauty sponges. So I tend to go with this one for my base. And this was just a sponge I got off of Temu in a big pack, so that I had them. Sponges I'm not particular on because I take a lot of the, I have to put on a lot of products, so even if this takes off a lot of it, there's still a lot left because I layer quite a few times. But having said that, I'll go through and I'll tap, and as I'm tapping, I'm blending my concealer in with that primer. And I just found that that's the best way that works for my skin. Is it textbook? No. Does it work for me? Yes. So that's the way that I do it. And then I use this tinier sponge, which I got from Walmart during the holidays, again, a big pack, for under the eyes because of the way that it's shaped. So instead of having to press into my eyes so roughly, I just go like this. And do you see how that's pretty much getting my under eyes all the way across? So I could just tap, tap, tap very gently. I don't have to go you know, rapid, harsher taps. I could just, and done. And I'll be able to show you guys that more when I do my concealer video, or next time I do a makeup. You know, I don't really do makeup tutorials because I'm certainly not versed enough. I'm not, you know, I'm just an amateur. I do it at home for my own fun. Do I have the knowledge and the skills to direct others? Most likely no. I can just tell you what works for my skin, and I can show you how I apply makeup with my multiple issues. So I can make, if you all want to see that video, please leave a comment below, and I can do like a full, so like today would be a bare face. So I can make that video for you with the bare face and kind of go and show you how I do the dot method, and you know, we could go from there. Okay, so that's the, again, that is the Bella Pierre Cosmetics primer. And you know what, actually, I'll put a little bit on my hand. I'll show you guys. So, do you see that? How creamy that is? So to me, that definitely hydrates where I need it to on those patches. And that's why I've been really reaching for this one a lot. If it's not this one, I will say that I do like the Elme product line, because my skin is very sensitive, easy to breakouts. So because that's a more hypoallergenic formula, I tend to use those products as a base as well. So the Almay Color Match Primer has this kind of creamy texture that works well for my skin as well, so I'll gravitate to that. I've used KVD before. I haven't loved it. I've used, I'm trying to think of all the, or that's not a primer, that's a foundation, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of all the different primers I've used over the years. Oh, I used to use the Porefessional from Benefits many, many moons ago. I would always get the little travel sample tubes. I haven't used that in a long time though, and to be honest, my face used to get irritated, so it probably didn't agree with me, but it does its job. It hides the pores really well, so it lives up to its name. Just my skin didn't like it. I think that's about it. Like, I'm not a real big primer person. I use, if I get something in a subscription box, I use it. If I don't, then I don't worry about it. So that's how that goes for me. Now if we move into foundations, I'll show you the one that I typically use, but I'm going to now, because I have a little bit of a tan, I'm going to have to switch to the next shade up. But, and you'll see how dirty this tube is because I'm almost out of it. But and again, it's the Almay, and it's the Almay, and it's the Ageless Smart Shade Foundation. So I have it in 100 Light, but because of my tan that's coming through, I'm going to have to go to 110, which is the next shade up. But this works really well. It comes out of the tube. So as you can see from the tube, it's got that 100 color. See that? But when it comes out of the tube and before you add it to your skin, it's white, or we'll say like a whitey beige. And then you'll see when I rub this in, sorry, trying to get a good shot for you there, it'll start to change color and blend out. So you see how that changed color to that light shade that they're talking about? I know the lighting's bad in here, but hopefully that's translating on camera and you're just not seeing the tan on the back of my hand. Let me see if I rub it in a spot where I'm lighter, if it makes more of a difference. Do you see it on my wrist there? Right there. So that's what the light shade looks like. But like I said, as you massage it into your skin, it heats, like it warms the formula, and that's what then brings the color out in it. So the heat of your skin definitely is what activates that color match. So I think that that's really cool. That's my second tube of it, so I definitely use it. I don't do a full face of makeup every day. It's not often. So these tubes last me a good like 4 to 5 months before I have to buy another one. And then finally, hi, my kitty's in here visiting. I have the Pretty Vulgar, and this is their primer. It is the Lava Water Foundation, and the shade is Cool AF, and it says it there right on the back of the tube. This one, and let me swatch it on the opposite wrist. This is the color that I wish the Almay was. It's got a little bit less of a yellow base and more of a tanny nudie base. You can see that there. I'm going to rub this in. And a little bit of that goes a long way, and you'll see in a second I get the light. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, this is... let me move y'all. Okay, let's try that better now that we're in the light. Do you see what I'm talking about? Like that. You know what? I went ahead and changed the camera angle. Do you see how I overdid it there? I put like a little bit of that stuff goes a long way. That tube probably would last me almost a month if I was not being so liberal with it. But do you see how that better matches my natural skin tone? It's got less of that it's more of a cooly tone. It's hard to describe, of course, but you know what I mean. Like, my skin has that natural, like, beigey kind of tone to it. So this just speaks, once I rub it in more to it. You do have to let this sit and oxidize for a moment. It shows up a lot paler than it actually is. So I'll show you at the end of the video what that looks like once it oxidizes, and you'll see that it's a lot less light than it appears when you first put it on. But I do like that, because then I'll do my primer, I'll put on the foundation, I'll be at my computer working, and then after like 3 to 5 minutes, I'll get up, I'll go in the bathroom, or I'll use my little desk mirror, depending on how I feel that day, and I'll finish my face. And by then the colors have settled, or the color has settled, and it's close to my natural skin tone, basically. Because you can tell I'm usually, like, by my arms, I'm pale as a ghost. I'm very, very fair. But being that I have fairness on one side of my family and then Mediterranean on the other side of my family, when I tan deep. So I get more of those beigey, yellowy tones coming through once it hits my paleness. From the one side of my family. So it's not full, like, olive skin, like a true blue, like full-blooded Mediterranean. It's not that darker, deeper brown. It's more of that beigey, pastel-y, nudie brown, if that makes sense. Hopefully. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to turn around the camera. You'll see on my arm here. Do you see how that oxidized? And now it's like almost the actual shade of my arm. So it's like my true blue skin color. And it just has that little bit of yellowy glow, but it's not overbearing. And I usually taper that down with a little bit of powder, because I have 2 different kinds of setting powders that I use religiously. Powders, I don't really switch out that often. Concealer, once I find one I like, I use it all the time. Those are not really rotated for me. If a powder is in and out, it's going to be a blush and a highlighter. But setting powders, blush powders, or not blush powders, I'm sorry, foundation powders, and eyeshadows, different things along those lines, I use them until I've finished that item, and then I move to the next one. I don't mix and match in between like I do with foundations and primers. I kind of just stick to what I know works, if that makes sense. But that's all I have today for the whole foundation and primer section of my collection. Next up, I think we're going to hop back over to Bath & Beauty. I like alternating like this. And I think we're going to take a look at, I'm trying to think of a manageable one, but I have so many. Probably shower gels will be their own dedicated video, because I have too many of them. I would say that next we're going to tackle You know what? Let's do body scrubs and get that out of the road. There's quite a few, but there's not as many as like the body washes and the bars of soap and those kinds of things. And I keep them in my fragrance bin, so that's already down off the shelf right now from my last video I made on fragrance. So thank you so much for waiting till the end. If you made it this far, awesome, because we're at the 15-minute mark and I don't think I could bear myself talking that long. So how you're doing it is beyond me, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you for your viewership. I really appreciate the support here. I love what I do on YouTube and making these videos. If you have any suggestions, please drop me a comment down in the box. I believe I said it at the beginning, but if I didn't, if you could like this video, I'd really appreciate it. And if you'd want to subscribe, so we do a lot of different kinds of content here on the channel, please feel free to do that. Other than that, have a wonderful day. Goodbye now.